Hey everybody, I'm Rick Beato. As you can see, I'm not in Atlanta, but I'm out here in sunny Los Angeles for the week doing some interviews and seeing some music. Today's episode is with guitar legend Frank Gambale. These are some of the guitars that you've seen Frank play over the years. So I'm looking forward to discussing music and guitar with him. Here it is. Frank, it's so great to be here, sitting next to you. I just heard Frank warm up. I thought, well, maybe I'll just have Frank just play the whole time and I'll just sit here and watch. Play me something that's hard to play.
Well, you know, certain arpeggios I find hard, like these ones. They're kind of like fourth arpeggios. I use it as a warm-up exercise, and clearly I'm not warmed up yet, but
when you're playing these and you use your pinky, for example, or
yes.
Like you don't have any problems with barring with any of the fingers.
Well, it's something that you develop over time, you know, and sometimes I play a note with this, you know, way down here. It's a bit weird, but sometimes you have to if you're barring across those four middle strings. You can't start with the tip, you know, you'll never make it. That's a simple exercise. And you roll, you do this kind of rolling so that each part of the finger, you know, coincides with a certain string.
You realize that people are influenced by you. There's just generations of people now that have been influenced by the things that you've played and taught over the last.
And I'm still teaching.
Years.
I have an online school where I still am writing courses that are really cool. You know, I believe in giving back and inspiring people wherever possible. You know, I think that's a really important thing to do. And, you know, if I can inspire a young person to play the guitar instead of a video game, I'll be a happy clam, you know. When I'm writing courses, I'm always into trying to find the easiest way to get to the result. You know, whether it's a technical thing or a harmonic thing, I'm always finding, I always describe myself as water rolling downhill. It'll always seek out the easiest path.
You have a lot of blues influence. You've always played blues, and you play over really complex chord changes.
Yeah.
You do both.
Mm-hmm.
Do you find that in 2019 it's more difficult for people to connect with, let's say, more harmonically advanced music than 30 years ago?
I still hear a lot of young, great musicians out there that are knocking me out. I don't want to get into name calling or anything, but, you know, there's always been crap and there's always been great stuff and everything in between, right? You just have to seek it out. Mm-hmm. So I think, you know, there's a lot of great young musicians out there that are doing wonderful things. So I'm hopeful and cautiously optimistic that the legacies and musical instruments are not going to disappear. There's no replacing a guitar. A guitar sounds the way it does, and it's one of those instruments you can take anywhere. You can strum it and make music. If you want to go deeper, you have to know what is a C chord, what is an F7, and to try to make sense of music and harmony takes some work, if you want to do it. Mm-hmm. And I think you get a much deeper understanding when you do take it apart and have a listen. That's a big part of what you do with a lot of your videos. You go, well, why is this song good? You got to learn about music. You got to get into the nuts and bolts of music and you know, go as far as you can, push your understanding as far as you can. I remember after playing about 10 years of blues, etc. Well, I played blues for 10 years solid, right? Mm-hmm. And I thought, well, after 10 years, I thought I've pretty much had it down, you know, at least as far as I wanted to go with it. And I love it. I think it's the way to learn, you know, the emotion on the instrument. You you get all the subtleties, all the inflections, and you learn how to make your instrument. You gotta learn to make it scream. There's nothing more beautiful than that connection. There's so many sounds on the guitar, it's wonderful. And all those subtleties you learn from playing blues. So after about 10 years, you know, they were mostly, you know, 1, 4, 5, either minor or dominant. Then I thought, well, gee, there's got to be more chords out there, you know, and I started hearing other kinds of music. I was always a big fan of vocal harmonies. A lot of the groups I was in back in Australia had, you know, I was listening to Crosby, Stills and Nash and the Eagles, and, you know, that kind of music really inspired me. It was beautiful vocal harmonies over the, you know, it was kind of rockin', a little bit country. It had a bit of everything, bit folk. So I started to branch out a little bit, and I remember hearing Steely Dan the first time, going, wow, man, this is considered rock, really? You know, with all these... That's rock. Okay, well, then I'm digging rock, man. That's the shit. That's the kind of rock I want to play, you know. You know, what a crazy song that is, Green Earrings. And I remember hearing that stuff going, now, you know, triad of a bass. You know, it was rich. It was so rich and full of harmony, and my ear just was drawn to it because I wanted to know more about music, and I would love the bands that did some hip stuff that was different, you know. I went into jazz a little bit, but not straight ahead. I kind of preferred the fusion thing. To me, I love the power of rock. I love the sound of distorted guitar. Now, you know, this is not straight ahead jazz. You can't, you know, what's interesting to me is like a lot of my records have had some very mixed reviews, you know, especially by jazz critics. And it blows my mind that if I was to play a John Coltrane solo, note for note, with this sound, they would be running for the hills. They'd go, ah, sacrilege! You know, but if it's played exactly the same notes on a saxophone, oh, it's hip shit, it's, you know, it's Coltrane, man. It's the pinnacle, right? And to me, that's utterly, completely stupid. It's just the timbre, the timbre, however you want to call it. It's the information that's important to me, not the sound of the instrument per se, you know, but a lot of jazz critics are, you know, they're purists, and for some reason the electric guitar is one of those instruments that they're afraid of. It has to be like a jazz box, which I'm quite happy to play too. You know, and that's why I've always loved Chick Corea. There's very few of the great jazz legends that dig the electric guitar and its power and the way it can be used in a jazz fusion context. So to me, I love fusion. It was originally called jazz rock fusion because it had the jazz intellect, but it had the rock power, you know? And to me, that's the best of both worlds. And that's kind of the music I play. So I wouldn't say I'm a jazz guitar player because I don't play standards all that much, you know. I can play it, and I've studied it.
You've played some on records, like Stella by Starlight with Alan and things like that.
I've done it. You know, and I've done it. It's not my forte, but I love to play changes. So whether it's on a clean guitar or on a distorted electric guitar, it's all the same to me.
When you started incorporating, though, these fusion ideas into blues, for example, when you were playing, how did you begin to incorporate that vocabulary?
Well, you know...
or would you just play over...
No, I used it. I used my intellect a lot on the blues, you know. Like, for example, I have a blues course called Spicing Up the Blues. And one of the things I do in that course is I like to take it, you know, make it a little more modern in places. Like, there's this chord progression that everybody does. Right, 1 to 4. And then the second time, that little half-step move is often done with the chords.
Yeah.
But I like to do that with the linear thing too, so I'll go. See how it went? take the idea and I'll go, ooh, I'll take it with a linear thing too. So I'll use my intellect to take the scale, which is the same as playing A altered to the 4 chord.
Yep.
Or up a half step. You can see it as a half step Lydian dominant. People do it with chords and they don't get bent out of shape.
No, they didn't think about it.
Why not do it with the lines? You know, I often use jazz blues changes, which are slightly different. You know, the jazz blues changes are more like, instead of just the 1, 4, 5, and then you'll have this upper half step, right? Maybe a diminished passing. They add a lot of chords, and then maybe 6 chord altered, and then the 2, and the 5 altered, and then a quick turnaround. So we'll add chords, but it's still basically a 12-bar blues structure.
If you were to demonstrate, if you're playing over those changes, those extra changes.
Yes. 1, 2, 3. Without a backing or a band, or you know, but to be able to make the changes so that it's really important to improvise like that, where you can make the chords, you can hear the chords changing without just the linear thing, yeah. So that, you know, that's a much more challenging blues, you know, with those extra chords in there, you know, it gives you more places to go, that's all. But I'm just as happy playing a 3-chord blues too, you know, just 1, 4, 5.
But that is so much more harmonically, to me, that's just so much more beautiful.
Well,
I hear all those
if you have the ear for it,
all the unexpected places it goes. That's
right.
the thing, is that you're always on the edge of your seat. Where's this going?
Yes.
And I think it's the unpredictability of it is why it's so interesting.
I agree. You know, I like an intellectual challenge, you know, and if I need to add some chords to something or substitute some, you know, I'll put those in just for fun. To me, it's fun. Mm-hmm. It's the challenge and the improvisational challenge to make the chords on time, you know, and to make it interesting and create lines that, you know, I'm always looking for stuff that I haven't heard before, you know, when I play. I don't want to sound like anybody.
Yeah.
Right? You know, there's tradition and there's certain lines and, you know, certain bebop kind of lines that are, you know, a good place to start from. Learning a Charlie Parker song will not hurt you.
I mean, you have such an original style, though. You always have, linearly, tone-wise, everything. You've always had your own voice.
Yeah, thank you.
Right from the beginning, right from when you first came out.
Yeah, I focused on that a lot. You know, I thought, you know, there's millions of guitar players, and I love them all. Guitar players are my favorite people. But I didn't want to sound like anybody in particular. You know, I wanted people to go, put the record on, that's Gambale, right away, you know. They can hear a sweep and go, oh, I heard Gambale, or someone trying to sound like Gambale. I wanted to get the credit, because a lot of people would say, you know, they put on something, oh, that guy sounds like Matheny, or that guy sounds like McClelland. I never wanted to hear that. when it came to me. You know, I never wanted to hear that comment. I wanted to go, that's Gambale, not Gambale trying to sound like Pat Metheny or, you know, or anyone else. So, yeah, that's something you got to focus on. And I think the way to achieve that, you know, it's okay to get into transcribing and learning lots of lines and stuff from a particular favorite soloist. But if you get stuck on one or two, you're going to sound too much like those guys.
Yeah.
So you really have to broaden your horizons and learn solos from so many different sources. And that's what I did. I learned a lot of Brecker solos, Michael Brecker, saxophone. I learned some Teramasa Hino trumpet solos, you know, loads of different horn players. Pete Chrislieb, there's some great horn players out there that just have this brilliant, because horn players, they're into lines, because they're not playing any chords, right?
That's what they do.
So you can imagine all their intellect is going into the hip line.
Yeah.
You know, as a guitar player, we have harmony and chords and rhythm and lines and thirds. We can play any number of groups of strings. So we have a lot more to learn on the instrument. It's broader.
Yeah.
I always say that about drummers too. Drummers only have rhythm to deal with.
Yeah.
And wow, that'd be, you know, that'd be great if that's all, you know, we only had one string to deal with. Hey, great. But we have a lot more to do here, you know, harmonically speaking. I love Stevie Wonder, man. He writes the hippest shit. Not many people write a melodic minor hit. Do me jamming till the break of dawn. Nobody will tell you. That's bad. You know, that's Stevie. And it's C minor, 2 dominant 7 chords, 4 or 5 melodic minor. So, wow, you know, it's out there. People use this stuff if they're smart. It can really help you sound different to, you know, to me, the artists that break through, the ones that are doing something different. You know, we shouldn't underestimate the public and what they're going to accept. Stevie's always written the hippest tunes. Same with Steely Dan and Fagan. And Sting. I mean, I remember hearing a Police song back in the day, and I thought, wow, you know, we can write songs with 1, 4, 5, all you want. Are you going to stand out? Probably not really, but if you got something like, hang on, this. 3 chords, but check out the chords. You know, you don't have to do dumb stuff. You can write some cool chords, you know. People take anything as long as it's got a strong beat and a strong melody. You can stretch out harmonically. Why not? As I get a lot of professionals come to me, and they just want to do that one lesson where they go, help me with my right hand's a disaster. And that's what, you know, you have to, at some point, organize. Whether you're just going to play alternate, you've got to have a good alternate, you know. That's rule 1. Whatever it is, you got to get organized.
Frank, I think that people don't realize that you can alternate pick anything too.
Well, of course. You got to be able to alternate. Well, because unless you want to sweep one note on every string, you've got to play some alternate somewhere, right? If you got more than one note on a string, this is a beast to overcome. And, you know, I don't want to be limited by the instrument. When I play, I just want to be thinking way beyond that I'm playing the guitar. I'm actually thinking music. I don't want to be thinking, oh God, here comes the hard part. You know, I don't want to be... I can play as fast as I want. people say I should grimace more. At least make it look hard.
It's just it's so relaxed. Your left hand can do anything then.
Right, exactly. I mean, it takes a while to get past this hump. Mm-hmm. But once you get past it, I make the analogy like a nice new BMW in 6th gear. You can go fast as hell on a freeway, but it feels like you're doing 20 miles an hour.
Okay, so
that's that.
I want to transition to your alternate tuning.
Oh yeah, okay.
Talk about that.
Hi. We didn't go anywhere.
So this double neck guitar on the bottom, I assume, has the alternate tuning.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
Okay. Well, in about 2004, I was fooling around with a thing called the Nashville tuning, and it was on a VG99 by Roland. It's a virtual guitar thing, which had presets for tunings. Mm-hmm. And when I realized that Nashville tuning, I could play any chord I wanted to play. But the problem was, it's a 12 string where you take all the low strings off, and it ends up being in the mandolin territory up high. And I thought, wow, why hasn't anybody taken this down and making it the fundamental guitar down the bottom? First thing I did was try the opposite. So I had the low 4 strings normal and the first 2 strings down an octave. Because as you know, 12 string, the 2 top strings are normal pitch.
Yep.
So, and then the low 4 strings are all in octave. So when you take the low strings off, you've got 4 strings below that are an octave higher than usual. So I did the opposite. That was too low. It sounded like a baritone guitar.
Okay.
So I took it up, from there I took it up to A. So this low string is an A. Right?
Yep.
And it says the pitches are as if you had a 5th fret capo. All those notes are the open strings. A, D, G, C, E, A. So it's really guitar tuning normal, except the first 2 strings are down an octave.
So that would be a Nashville tuning at the 5th fret with a capo.
No, 7th.
7th fret. Okay, 7th fret. That's right.
Yeah. Well, how often you play with a capo on the 7th fret? Not too often.
No.
I wanted it down here. Right? So now I can play it. It sort of compresses the pitch, the range a little bit, but it sort of makes it like the mid-range of a piano. But what's hip about it, and we were talking about this earlier, is that anybody can pick it up and play it right away. All your basic chords, they're all still there. All your bar chords, everything's still there. That's what's awesome about it, right? So there's no learning curve per se, but I can play chords like this. These gorgeous this is all keyboard. Let's take this major 7 voice. This is a garden variety, regular old major 7. But the notes are that's how it would look with regular tuning.
Yeah.
And there it is. Make it minor 11. This was one of my favorite piano voicings, and that's these notes. Good luck trying to play that one.
Yeah.
On the guitar, you would have to play.
Impossible.
Almost. But I can do it like this. Here's one piece I play a lot. You can always get that extra note that you can't normally do.
I appreciate so much you taking the time.
Yeah, my pleasure, Rick.
And
Thank you
it's
for inviting me
it's
up
been
here.
such an honor to meet you in person, and I've
Pleasure's
enjoyed
mine.
your music for so long, and this has just been great.
Thank you. All right.
That's all for now. Please subscribe here to my Everything Music YouTube channel. Remember, if you're a new subscriber, ring the bell to get all the notifications. If you're interested in the Beato book, go to my website at www.rickbeato.com. You can follow me on Instagram at rickbeato1. And if you want to support the channel even more, check out the Beato Club. You can find out information on my website. Thanks so much for watching.